everyone. I see the recording has started, so we'll get going. Good morning. This is Commissioner Scar. Today is Tuesday, March 14th, 2023, and we'll call this meeting to order at 8 a.m. Before we get started, I'd like to remind everyone to mute their phone. You can do this by pressing star 6. Please unmute yourself when called to speak, again pressing star 6. It is very important for all others to remain muted. Thank you. So let's start with our Board of Commissioners roll call. Commissioner Bell, are you with us this morning?
Good morning, I'm here.
Good morning. And Commissioner Yamamoto?
Yes, good morning.
Good morning. All right, wonderful. Adventist Health has let us know that they are not able to join us this morning, so I will jump into the Coastal Caucus, which, again, as usual, I think are working their little behinds off in Salem, but let's pause and see if any of them might have made it this morning. Okay, hearing none from the Coastal Caucus, we will jump onto the Tillamook County Community Health Center. I believe I see Ed Colson.
Yes, good morning, and good morning, Tillamook County. The Health Department is here with our report. We just want to let everyone know that March is Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month. It's a national observance to highlight the importance of screening for colorectal cancer and to promote healthy lifestyle habits that can decrease a person's risk of developing cancer. Colorectal cancer is the third most common type in the U.S. and the second most common cause of cancer death from cancers that affect both men and women. This often starts with no signs or symptoms, so screening tests can detect cancer early when treatment works best. So it's recommended that all adults aged 45 to 75 be screened regularly for colorectal cancer. So please talk to your primary healthcare provider about what kind of test is right for you. And then in addition to early screening, there are lifestyle changes that can help you reduce your risk to all types of cancer, such as quitting tobacco, maintaining a healthy weight, limiting alcohol consumption, eating more fruits and vegetables, and exercising regularly. We'd also like to remind everyone that this month is a reminder to schedule your annual wellness exam. These are a great opportunity to complete health screenings, which can help identify early signs of disease or illness. So please give us a call at the Health Department, 503-842-3938 to schedule. We just want to remind everyone still that if you are feeling ill with flu-like symptoms, to please stay home. Contact your healthcare provider to see about potential testing options. At-home testing kits are still available at no cost at all county library branches as well as at our clinic front desk. So if you do test positive for COVID-19, please follow the OHA isolation guidelines to stay home from work and isolate away from others for at least 5 days from the start of symptoms or positive test results if without symptoms. Please seek treatment as early as possible if you're at high risk of severe COVID-19 illness, and continue frequent hand washing and disinfecting of high-touch surfaces. It's not too late to get your flu shot or your COVID-19 booster to protect yourself from getting very sick. Flu and COVID-19 vaccines remain available by appointment at many healthcare facilities and pharmacies within the county, including at our main health center location. Though starting this week, Tillamook County Community Health Centers will be offering COVID vaccines on Tuesday and Thursdays only. We are making this switch to reduce vaccine waste as the demand for these has gone down quite a bit. So for resources and support with isolation or finding a vaccine, please give us a call, 503-842-3940, or you can call 211. And then lastly, in partnership with Nestucca Valley School District, our public health and dental bilingual staff will be at the Resource Fair during the Parent-Teacher Conferences this Thursday, the 16th, from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. at the Nestucca Valley K-8 school. While there, we're going to be able to offer immunizations, dental care coordination, and education and resources for other programs available at our health center. In addition to that, we are going to be accompanied by 16 other local organizations at the Resource Fair to provide services and information. This is a great opportunity to ensure families have access to all the resources they need in order to be healthy, and we look forward to seeing everyone there. With that, that's our Health Department update. I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Ed. Wonderful information. Appreciate that. Okay, we will move right through here to the Nehalem Bay Health Center and Pharmacy. Gail, are you with us this morning?
Yes, I am. Good morning.
Good morning.
And thank you, Ed, for the update. I do appreciate that information. Here's a few updates from us at the Nehalem Bay Health Center and Pharmacy. first of all, our outreach team will be participating in a resource fair at Nestucca, Valley Elementary School on Thursday afternoon, March 16th, during parent-teacher conferences. And this fair is being organized by the Tillamook County Community Health Centers, as you've already heard this morning, and we are pleased to be able to partner on this outreach opportunity. We're also pleased to be one of the community partners involved in a special fundraising concert for the Yale County Schools Music Program. This concert will feature music legend Maria Muldaur. It's on Sunday, March 26th at the White Clover Grange. Concert is being organized by the North Coast Music Project, and there's still a few tickets available. You can look for them at tickettomato.com. And just another reminder, we, of course, continue to serve you here. If you're interested in scheduling an appointment with one of our medical providers, including behavioral health providers, please give us a call, 800-368-5182 for more information. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Gail. Appreciate that. Okay. Moving on to Tillamook Family Counseling Center. Frank, are you with us this morning?
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
This is Frank Anna Williams, Director, Tillamook Family Counseling Center, Behavioral Health Services for Tillamook County residents. It seems as though March is a very packed month in terms of awareness on many different levels, and I'm going to add to that a little bit today, just for a couple minutes. March is Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month, and in 1987, President Reagan issued a public proclamation making March National Disabilities Awareness Month, and just to remind folks that part of Tillamook Family Counseling Center provides services to the developmentally disabled and community, and since the time in 1987, March has been recognized intentionally as a period of time of for individuals and organizations in the U.S. to create opportunities to learn about developmental disabilities and ways to serve those individuals and their families and community. And if you would make note and take a look at our website at tscc.org, and go to the Developmental Disabilities page, you'll see a description and some information regarding developmental disabilities. A developmental disability tends to be is something that is diagnosed as a mental or a physical condition or a combination of mental and physical conditions resulting in significant impairments to daily functioning. It must be established typically before the age of 18, but definitely prior to age 22. And must be expected to last indefinitely. There's some additional descriptions of what a developmental disability is and is not on that webpage, and in just a short bit of space on that page gives you a little bit of a description of that. The most common developmental disabilities tend to be those that are intellectual, Down syndrome, autism, cerebral palsy, and epilepsy. Again, we are certainly very pleased to be able to provide that service to Tillamook County residents and have a very active program in which we serve the community. And you'll find a little bit more information about that on the website. So just want to remind you of that. And remind you that this is that period of time every year where we acknowledge that. So if you have any other questions about any of the other services that we provide, and you can reach us at 503-842-8201. And if you are contacting us with a 1-800 number, that would be 1-800-962-2851. And if you have any questions, I will take them at this time.
Thank you, Frank. I appreciate the Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month reminder. That's something that actually I didn't know about March. And, you know, I've had the opportunity to engage both at TFCC with their, I'm going to get the name of the committee wrong, but there is a committee of folks that includes parents, it includes advocates for those with developmental disabilities, and it includes staff from TFCC that comes together. I believe it's quarterly to just sort of kind of review what do we have in our community, how are things going, are there additions that could be helpful in terms of services, et cetera. And I believe that group is open for people to participate in. So if you are someone who has a passion for those with developmental disabilities and their experiences in the world, there's a number of places to plug in. That is one of them. There is also Sammy's Place, which is a nonprofit here on the North Coast that is working with a variety of different issues around supporting folks with developmental disabilities in participating fully in life in the same way that all of the rest of us do. So I think and then of course you have Marie Mills here on the North Coast, which also provides services for those with developmental disabilities. So we are very, very fortunate in our county to have a number of resources that I think hopefully everyone is plugging into. And again, if you are passionate about this work, I would encourage you to plug into any of those three agencies because everyone wants to have a full, meaningful life, and those folks who have intellectual developmental disabilities are no different. And I think sometimes that is a focus that we forget to really put attention towards. So Frank, I really appreciate you bringing this up. Is there anything else you would want to say about that quarterly committee that meets and the opportunity if someone is passionate about this work to plug in?
No, I think, to be honest, Commissioner Scar, you covered it quite well. And again, if people are interested and have some questions, I would direct you to the agency's website and to just kind of take a look at a bit more of a description around developmental disabilities. But if there's anything specific that you're interested in, if you were to call any of the agency's numbers and say, I'm interested in connecting around something that I heard about or saw about on your website, and I heard the community update this week, and I'm interested. We will help direct people to the right place.
Wonderful. Thank you. I appreciate that. And I have another event I'm going to talk about next week when I have just enough info. I don't have quite enough information to talk about it, but it is bringing a nationally known speaker around disabilities to the Oregon coast to really kind of talk a little bit about his experience, and it should be a fabulous event. So I'm not quite ready to bust that one wide open, but I'm going to put that out there as a teaser. Okay, thank you so much, Frank. I appreciate that, and we'll keep moving. Sheriff's Office. Do we have the sheriff or the undersheriff with us today?
Good morning, this is Sheriff Brown. I am here.
Good morning, Sheriff. Welcome back.
Yeah, thank you. I was gone last week to a conference, really good conference, and I am back now this week. Real quick, I do want to mention there's multiple crashes going on right now. Most of them are centralized in South County, excuse me. They're kind of focused in that area, and they all seem to be ICE related. So not only for the safety of the first responders that are responding to this, but for the safety of drivers. If you are out and about, especially in South County, please slow down. Please be aware that there are spots of ice. Requests have been put in to get sand or de-icer down. But at least the first part of this morning, it's certain to be icy in spots. So slow down, drive safe. If you don't have to leave or go anywhere, I definitely suggest staying home for a little bit, at least until things warm up and the roads can thaw out a little bit. I believe that there's 3, maybe 4 crashes that are going on almost simultaneously. We actually had a deputy on scene of one crash, and he witnessed a rollover crash as he was there working that crash. So Very slick. Please be careful. Please stay home if you are able. With that, I want to mention again, I believe I brought it up, and I just kind of want to keep mentioning it so people don't forget that we're going to be doing the Search and Rescue Banquet April 22nd. Tickets should go on sale early April. We should have some more details coming out on our social media through a press release here very soon. It's been a few years since we've been able to do it due to COVID and short staff, etc. So we are extremely excited to bring it back. And like I said, it's scheduled for April 22nd. And you should see information coming out pretty soon, as well as tickets going on sale, hopefully early April. So that there is definitely that to look forward to. I'm very excited about that. I don't know that I have anything else right now. Like I said, I've been gone for a week. We've just been plugging away, doing what we do, and I can take any questions if needed.
Thank you, Sheriff. Appreciate that. And that is exciting that the Search and Rescue Banquet is coming back. I know that's been a great event and raised really, really important funds. Search and rescue is a required component of what we must offer, but funding for it continues to be very limited and difficult to come by. So this banquet is really important and has grown over the years to be a significant contribution to our search and rescue program. So excited to hear that that's coming back online. Okay. Thank you, Sheriff. We will move on to emergency management. Randy Thorpe, are you with us this morning?
You bet. I'm here.
Good morning.
And I did drive really slow coming into work this morning from the north because my little rearview mirror said ice, and so I believed it and I did slow down. So I can attest to what Sheriff Brown said, that there will be some slick spots out there, so just be careful if you're driving. Today, the county will be holding an after-action review concerning the little snowfall winter storm we had last week in February. And I'm hoping that we come up with some great solutions, identify any gaps that we had in our response. We had a good turnout for our last one and came up with some great things to work on, and hopefully this second storm we made a few corrections and are moving forward with our response. That's not a word. Response. Thursday we are going to have the first of the TC4 meetings. TC4, of course, is the Tillamook County Citizen Corps Council. These meetings were disrupted the last couple of years, of course, and we're excited to get it started again and get this group of volunteers together and come up with some good ideas and plans to provide even better, more exceptional service to the county. And of course, the purpose of the organization is to coordinate volunteer emergency preparedness activities affiliated with public emergency service agencies that will make our community safer, stronger, and better prepared to respond to any emergency situations. So, with that being said, I talked with the National Weather Service yesterday, and luckily, their predictions are that with the rain and the snow melt, we shouldn't have any worries about river flooding, at least this week. Looks like we're drying up for a few days, but then we are going to get back into some heavier rains the first part of next week. So I will keep checking back with them so I can get their predictions on any possible river flooding that we may have next week. So anyway, hopefully we'll make it through. And let's see, spring's in a week, so that means all our winter storms will be done with, and I'm excited to see spring come and summer come. And that's all I have for today.
Perfect. Thank you, Randy. We're going to hold you to that spring weather comment, and anything that happens after that is solidly on your shoulders. Okay. The other thing I would just quickly point out, I was looking at my weather because I wasn't expecting it to be icy this morning, but when I got in my car, there were those little telltale swirls on the windshield that let me know there was some ice, and it looks like Thursday morning might be the same. So if we all just remember that as much as we would like this winter weather to be over, we're not quite over the hump yet. But Randy promises that it will be next week, so we'll just hold him to that. All right, thank you. Okay, moving on to the Board of Commissioners, and I will start with Commissioner Bell this morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Well, I'd like to just say that I missed the Coastal Caucus, and I'm sure that that's true for other folks too. So they're, of course, in the legislative session, and they can't join us temporarily while they're in that session. I look forward to them returning. But this morning I was thinking, man, I missed the Coastal Caucus on our calls. So I looked up Senator Weber's. She sends out a newsletter. I looked up her newsletter and read it this morning. I looked up Representative Gomberg's newsletter and read it this morning. They're both very informative. And I just want to remind folks that those are out there. Representative Gomberg, of course, has been sending out that newsletter for a long time. And Senator Weber is sending out one also. And they're just packed full of great information. And it's almost like listening to them on this call. So if you, like me, are missing the Coastal Caucus, I encourage you to just Google them and find their newsletter, sign up for their newsletter. I enjoyed reading them this morning. I want to talk about a couple things that are going on this week. Today, we're having a special election for the City of Tillamook only and for Wards 2 and 5 only. So if you live in the City of Tillamook and you're a resident of Wards 2 or 5, there's an election today for City Councilor for your ward. The reason for that is that in the November election, that those two elections were very close, and in that process, we became aware that there were problems with the ward boundaries. So how that happens, what that means is that the City of Tillamook has 6 wards, and they have a representative on City Council, a councilor for each of those wards, and each ward is supposed to have approximately the same number of people, so equal representation. So when something happens, like people move or there's new construction, when something happens that shifts the population, adds population to one ward or decreases it to another, then the ward boundaries move. And sometimes, because we're talking about a small town, 5,000 people, sometimes the changes are very subtle. It could be some houses are added on the other side of the street, or we're talking about small numbers, so the changes are small. So there were some changes that happened to the ward boundaries late in 2019, and they just didn't get adjusted properly. And nobody knew, because the changes were small. Nobody knew that, that there were changes made, there were adjustments made, but we're working with several different sets of maps. There's the city map and the clerk's map and tax and assessment map, etc. So several different sets of maps and different kinds of data, and it didn't translate directly, and so the changes were made, but there were some errors, unintentional errors in those boundaries. So we're sorry for that. It's totally unintentional, and it came to light in the November election. So the resolution was to have a special election to resolve that, and that happens today. So the clerk's office worked really hard they went address by address in those 2 wards and cross-checked them with all of those different maps to make sure that the boundaries are what they're supposed to be now. And so today is the outcome of that, and we'll have the resolution of the election of those 2 wards. So there's that. The other thing I wanted to mention that's interesting is that one of the more unusual parts of our jobs as county commissioners is that we have a quasi-judicial role, which when I was running for county commissioner, I had to look that up because I wasn't quite sure what it meant. What it means is that we serve as judges in land use matters that have been appealed. So it's fascinating. It doesn't happen very often, a couple times a year. So this week we happen to have 2 land use appeal hearings, And I just wanted to share this because it's interesting. It's an interesting part of our job. In these cases, the Planning Commission approved a project. The Planning Commission decision was appealed. It came to us. We approved the project. Our decision was appealed. It went to the Land Use Board of Appeals. And in one case, the Land Use Board of Appeals reviewed the case and said, well, County Commissioners, we'd like to hear more from you on these 2 points. So we'll look at that tonight. And that record I've been studying the record for a couple days now because it's over 3,000 pages long. So it's a very intense, challenging part of our work because we're not land use experts, but now we're quasi-experts because we're studying it. But it's very interesting. So that hearing is tonight, and then on Thursday night we have another hearing for another case that was same process. The Planning Commission approved it. It was appealed. It came to us. We approved it. It was appealed. It went to LUBA. But in this case, it wasn't the Land Use Board of Appeals that remanded it to us. It was a voluntary remand, meaning the people who have the project, the permit holders, said, okay, we want to address some of these concerns, so we're changing some things in our application. So that's coming back to us. So we have that Thursday night. So I just wanted to share that because it's an interesting part of our job and another way we get to be of service. And I'll stop there. Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner Bell. Appreciate that. Commissioner Yamamoto, you are on.
Yeah, thank you so much. Things are busy. There's no doubt about it. It's always said in Oregon, the most dangerous time in the state of Oregon is when the legislature is in session. And that is absolutely the case right now. Things are happening very rapidly in Salem. Matter of fact, so last week I spent 3 days in Salem and Corvallis. I mean, we're having to look at things and fight things that would really be harmful to Tillamook County. On Monday, and I think I reported this last Tuesday, but it's worth repeating. Senator Golden has a bill in the Senate that is going to potentially harm our dairy industry because of the issue of CAFOs, confined animal feeding operations. There is a movement to restrict CAFOs until 2031, and it's really weird that would even not allow CAFOs that are currently licensed to be renewed until 2031. And this is just bad legislation. It started as an issue with chicken farms, and this is mostly in Lynn County. The neighbors were protesting big chicken farms that had confined animal feeding operations. And what confined animal feeding operations are, it's a way to handle the animal waste. And I understand if they want to develop CAFOs for chicken farms, that's fine. But it just started to grow. It started with this conversation about chickens in Lynn County, and now it's just the overall conversation of CAFOs in general, cattle and dairy cows and you name it. So it's a real problem. So I was asked to testify on last Monday morning, which I did. So we hope that we brought some clarity, and people rallied the forces there, and we filled 2 of the large meeting rooms with people. And of course, they ran out of time to testify and all, but these are things that it's very important that we are able to be in Salem to go to these hearings and testify. But even more important is just walking the hallways and meeting with representatives and senators. That's where the real action takes place. And so it was great to do that, and I think we were successful, although we don't know. As Commissioner Bell mentioned, yes, it's very important that we are able to do all these things. I meet regularly with Senator Weber and I see David Domberg in the hallways all the time. Representative Javity also, he is also doing a great job. He also has a newsletter that he puts out regularly, and that's one that you need to look at. So on Wednesday of last week, and I apologize for not being able to attend the board meeting or the board briefing last Wednesday, but I was testifying before the Board of Forestry in Corvallis at Oregon State University that afternoon, but in the morning I again was in Salem meeting with legislators because of what's going on with the Department of Forestry and the Habitat Conservation Plan and the implementation plan issues. I'm meeting with a lot of representatives and senators that sit on Ways and Means, especially the House and Senate Natural Resource Ways and Means Committee. I'm having to explain to them that the Department of Forestry is really going to have their hand out for monies. Roughly a 30% reduction in the implementation plan in our state forest land. 30% reduction in timber harvest just automatically says there's going to be a 30+% cut in timber revenue to the counties and special districts. But you have to remember this also affects the Department of Forestry. The way this works is the Department of Forestry gets 37% of all timber revenue that comes off of state forest land. The counties and special districts get the other 63%. So how is the Department of Forestry going to handle a 30+% reduction in revenue to their department? Well, just like the counties and special districts are really looking at, are we going to have layoffs, things of that nature? And we're early in the conversation. The IP has not been implemented yet, and because of the way timber harvest happens, we've got a couple-year cushion here. When the department sells a timber sale, a company that is awarded that contract has 3 years to harvest that timber. So I think we're going to be okay for the next couple of years, but it's after that that we really need to take a very hard look at this. So we're talking with all the legislators on Ways and Means, explaining the situation, telling them in the next biennium, this is going to be a very difficult conversation because the ODF is going to have their hand out looking for a backfill from the general fund to maintain the Department of Forestry. And our story has to be, well, first of all, they're causing this problem by the way they developed the Habitat Conservation Plan. If you're going to fund the Department of Forestry, you're going to backfill them because of what they did in developing the Habitat Conservation Plan. For every dollar that you give the Department of Forestry, you're going to have to turn around and give $2 to the counties and special districts. That's just the split that we have. So we're setting this up. We don't want the legislature, especially the Ways and Means committees, to be blindsided by this in the next biennium. So we're laying the groundwork. It's really important. Representative Javity was at the Board of Forestry meeting, as well as Senator Weber's representative was also there testifying before the Board of Forestry in the morning. And there were a ton of people in the room that morning testifying. It was 10-1 against what the Department of Forestry was doing. It was an incredible turnout. I just don't know if we're making real progress with the Board of Forestry members. The legislative Republicans in Salem, all of them signed a letter to the governor, stating to the governor what a bad situation this Habitat Conservation Plan is. Also, the Coastal Caucus also sent a letter to the governor. Basically, the same message. How can you be harming the trust counties in this way? It's just not right. There is conversation about somehow making the counties whole, and we don't know exactly what this means. The conversation about decoupling is coming up, and I know I'm getting into a lot of different issues, but there's so much going on right now when it comes to state forest lands. The decoupling issue is one thing. They're trying to make the trust counties whole financially, but they're working on less than half of the problem. Yes, the timber revenue is important, but even more important are the family wage, fully benefited jobs that happen with this. So again, the legislators that are working on this, trying to solve the problem, are not even seeing the entire problem, which is a real problem. I also spent the full day in Salem on Thursday, again, meeting with legislators. I was able to testify on House Bill 3201, which is a broadband bill. This also gets really complicated, but so when we were in Washington, D.C. with NACO, we were talking to Senator Wyden, and it's interesting what's happening with broadband. There is going to be large pieces of money coming from the federal government to help the states with broadband. Every state in the union has a minimum of $100 million available to them. And then depending on population and the rural-urban mix and how much infrastructure states already have, they're eligible for much larger tranches of money. So in the state of Oregon, we're eligible for almost $1 billion in funding for broadband. But a lot of this depends on maps, and a lot of this depends on the rules and regulations. So this House Bill 3201, what it does, it changes in statute Oregon's regulations on what we consider high-speed internet. And it's important that we do this. If we don't meet the minimum standards set by the federal government, then we're not eligible for this money. So it's important that we do this. There is the major telecom industry is really kind of against this because they see this as competition to them, which I kind of understand in urban areas, but in rural areas, it's not competition because the major telecoms really aren't doing what they should be doing to hook up rural counties when it comes to high-speed internet. That's why in Tillamook County we've got Tillamook Lightwave, which of all the coastal counties, you've heard me say this before, of all the coastal counties, Tillamook County has the most robust fiber backbone of any coastal county in the state of Oregon, and that's because of Tillamook Lightwave. So we've got a lot on our plate. I continue to meet with representatives and senators when I'm in Salem, and that's where the rubber meets the road. It really does. On Friday, we had Association of Oregon County Steering Committee meetings. We had Health and Human Services and Governance and Revenue, of which I am co-chair, in the morning, and then we went to the AOC Transportation and Community Development Steering Committee, of which Commissioner Starr is the co-chair that afternoon. And then on Monday, that was a full day in Salem, we had two steering committee meetings, Public Safety and Natural Resources. And then in the afternoon, we had an AOC Legislative Committee and AOC Board of Directors meeting. And then we had an AOC building open house, which was just a terrific time. I want to talk about House Bill 3381, which was interesting because this bill came up in natural resources, and yet it's kind of a short-term rental bill, which is very interesting. But it was in natural resources because it talked about putting the ability to place short-term rentals in EFU land, exclusive farm use land. That's why it was in natural resources. I'll tell you what, I've been talking way too much, so Commissioner Scar was also there, and she is one of the experts also in short-term rentals. So I'm going to let Commissioner Scar talk about 3381. Hope you don't mind that, Commissioner. So with that, I end my report.
Thank you, Commissioner. Appreciate that. So yes, there are a lot of bills that are moving through the legislature that have impacts for Tillamook County, some of them positive, some of them negative, some of them questionable. And so I also was in steering committee meetings all day Friday and was down in Salem yesterday as well for the AOC Day. AOC, as the Association of Oregon Counties, is an important voice that our state legislators look to when a bill comes across their desk. They want to know if the Association of Oregon Counties is in support of the bill or opposes the bill, because that gives them a strong sense of whether what is being proposed will be beneficial all across the state or not. Because we only get a support for AOC bills when there is the majority of counties are in support. So with 36 counties in the state, there are a lot of bills that are good for some and not good for others, and we just don't touch those at AOC. We back away and we let individual counties advocate for their own needs. But for ones where all 36, or at least a majority of 36 counties feel like, yikes, this is a problem, we take a position at AOC to help guide the state law. So it is important, the work that we're doing at Association of Oregon Counties, in order to make sure that we protect Tillamook. So there are a number of bills that are out there that I personally have been a part of and been testifying for, that I'll just talk about quickly. I will start with House Bill. It was actually, Senate Bill 648 that we talked about at the Natural Resources Committee yesterday, which was a short-term rental bill, which would have required us to allow short-term rentals in exclusive farm use areas. And obviously for Tillamook County, that is not a win. What's interesting about that bill is that for Eastern Oregon, for many of our cattle ranches and wheat ranches and other areas over there that have a lot of farmland, some of which is not productive farmland, it could be a win because they are looking for ways to augment their income from farms, because farms are a very difficult and volatile way to make your living. They were looking for a way to augment their income. For them, it made sense. For us, it was really going to be problematic if we have short-term rentals popping up in dairies. It would really prioritize for people to purchase lands that are really meant for exclusive farm use and to turn them into more of a tourist attraction. And that is not something at this time that we think would be a win. The other reason for us that we think it would not be a win is that this conversation about how short-term rentals are regulated is a very difficult legal conversation. And I will refer anyone who's interested to the Short-Term Rental Advisory Committee, which in fact is meeting again today, beginning at 9:30. Today it will go from 9:30 to 2:30, and it will be out at the Port of Tillamook Bay in their commissioners, in their meeting room in there at the main office there, 4000 Blunt Boulevard. But one of the things that is a challenge across the state is how do we regulate short-term rentals? What does that look like? And there are two schools of thought. One school of thought says they are land use and they should be regulated as land use, meaning that you would say they are available or allowable in the R1 zone or the R2 zone or the AFU zone. You would use this land use designations to determine where short-term rentals should go. That land use system is a state construct, and so it really limits your ability to really regulate your short-term rentals when you use land use, because decisions can be appealed through the land use system, which ultimately lands them at the Land Use Board of Appeals. And counties who have done that, including Hood River County has fought that battle many times, and I believe that Deschutes County has fought that battle, have all said, don't do it. Land use takes too much local control away from how you make the industry work in your community, which is the ultimate goal of our commissioners. We want to make this industry work in our community because we know it's important. We also know that it needs to have some controls on it in order to make the rest of our communities the type of communities we want them to be. So it's a very tricky balance. So there's two ways to regulate it. One of them is in land use. The other is through ordinance. And ordinance are the rules that we set locally by your county commissioners. And the goal is to keep short-term rental regulation in ordinance so that we keep local control, so that when there is a problem, it comes to us to solve instead of being cast into a land use system of the state of Oregon. So there is another bill that Commissioner Yamamoto mentioned, which is 3381, and that seeks to try to really clarify the statement that counties have the right to regulate short-term rentals in ordinance if they choose. They are not, it is not land use by its absolute nature. So this is a battle that's happening across the state. It is a legal conversation, but the state legislature is weighing in this year. We're going to see how that goes. Both of those bills may or may not have what we call legs. They're in committee now, they're being heard, but it doesn't mean they will move forward, partially because it is a complex and contentious issue. We will see if they get legs. If they do, we will be there advocating on the side of Tillamook County to keep our local ability to regulate short-term rentals and create the type of industry we want to have that protects both our economy, upon which short-term rentals are a leg of our stool, but also our communities, so they have the quality of life we're looking for. Complex conversation been happening at the Short-Term Rental Advisory Committee for, I believe, 9 months, maybe 10 months already, and has about 3 months to go. If you want to know more, you can reach out to me. You're also welcome to attend that committee or to go online and listen to the recordings of those meetings. There's a lot of information out there. I just ask you to be informed. There are a lot of emotions and feelings about this issue that completely understand that there's also legal underpinnings that we all should understand as we have these conversations. Okay, sorry, long-winded on that one. David made me do it. 2 other bills that I have been a part of testifying for. One is House Bill 3174, which is a bill that is seeking to provide the resources needed to help build affordable housing and workforce housing. It is a bill that came forward from a work session I was a part of where we sat down and mapped the system for how do you build housing. What are the sticking points? And certainly there were a couple of sticking points that were really, really obvious. One of them is that in our small rural counties, quite often we don't have the expertise to know how to move through this process, and that we struggle to get developers interested because it's more complex on the coast. So one of the pieces of this legislation would put some regional housing coordinators in place that the state would pay for, that would help bring that expertise, help bring developers to the table for us locally, and just really help us have the same sort of level of expertise and influence as other metro areas which actually have housing departments. So that would be a really great help. The other piece in that bill that's really crucial is funding to hire more permit techs, more planners, more building inspectors, because in the event that we are successful at drawing more development of workforce housing to Tillamook County and all counties across the state, it's going to require far more workforce than we have the money to pay for if we don't want that system to get extremely bogged down. So I was pleased to testify on behalf of that bill. I gave written testimony on House Bill 3163, which is a bill that seeks to ensure that place-based water planning is available through the state with resources behind it. I know on the North Coast, we feel like there is a lot of water because we have our flooding incidents and so forth, but we also are seeing a change in how our water arrives to the North Coast, and we are concerned about how that may be impacting our entire water ecosystem. We're getting more water in short windows of time, and we are having longer dry periods. How is that going to impact our water availability, as well as our fish runs, our wetlands, all of the system pieces in our water? So we would very much like to see the state provide resources to assist us with some research related to our water system. So I did written testimony for that bill. I will leave it there. There are thousands and thousands of bills at the state level. What I will share is that if these bills have not had a work session, I believe it's a hearing and a work session, by the 17th of March, they die in committee. So we will have a much better view next week of what is moving forward and what was somebody's good idea but did not, as I say, get legs. So just kind of let you know that one. Okay, a couple other things that have been going on. I was in Astoria last week on Thursday for the day to attend both the Columbia Pacific Economic Development District meeting and the Northwest Area Commission on Transportation meetings. Both of those meetings are a great opportunity to touch base in our region on economic development and, of course, with ODOT on transportation. We had great presentations on the Clatsop Community College Marine and Environmental Research and Training Station, which is a great arm of their community college that provides training in maritime industries that gets people right onto ships with a really amazing and exceptional compensation. So it's one of those things that I didn't realize was in our area, but it's quite fascinating. So if you are out there listening, or you know someone who's thinking, I would like to get into the maritime industry, I just want to know more, the MERTS program, MERTS, at the Clatsop Community College is a fabulous way to do that. The other presentation we had was on the Tongue Point Job Corps, and I don't know how many know much about Job Corps. I tend to forget that it is there. Job Corps is a live-in education program that is for individuals 16 and over, that helps them get their high school diploma if they have not done that, or their GED, and then moves them into training programs that lead directly to work. So this is another great opportunity. We all know that college is not necessarily everyone's pathway to a future, and the Job Corps is a really amazing opportunity. So I'll just throw those two out there, things that we were highlighted for us at the Economic Development meeting. Northwest Act, just a reminder from ODOT that they are working on their state transportation improvement plan items, and I know that Bill Jablonski talked about this last week, but I wanted to go ahead and highlight it again. They have a document called the STIP, State Transportation Improvement Plan, where they list all of the different projects they will be working on in the next biennia. They have a public process as part of that, so I invite people to engage in that public process. There will be a meeting on Thursday, March 23rd in Tillamook County from 4 to 6 p.m. out at the Port of Tillamook Bay, again, 4000 Blimp Boulevard, in their main office conference room, where you have the opportunity to interact with ODOT and let them know what you think is important in Tillamook County. If you're unable to make that meeting, there is also an online open house, so I encourage you to go to the ODOT website and learn a little bit more about that if you would like to participate in what will be worked on in Tillamook County. What are the priority projects? So just want to keep that on everybody's radar. ODOT does want to hear from us, and it's incumbent upon us to take the time to talk with them. Okay, I've already highlighted the Short-Term Rental Advisory Committee. Mary Faith talked about our remand hearings. So again, we have shifted those hearings specifically to the evening, specifically for public participation. We have heard loud and clear that the public would like the opportunity to engage with commissioners on key issues. These are both seen to be key issues, and we're going to see how this goes, giving the public an opportunity to join us in the evening. With that, I'm going to wrap it up, because I know as commissioners we have taken a lot of your time today. I hope that the information you've heard is useful. I also hope that you will reach out to any of your 3 commissioners if you have questions, if you have concerns. We know that not everybody is able to be with us when we do have important meetings, but we are always available to you via email or telephone. All right, with that, I will move us on, although I've now misplaced my agenda. But I do know that Manzanita is the first city on our list, so I think that we have Leila Aman with us today. We know that we also have Deb Simmons, their new mayor, and I would just like to welcome her. I appreciate her joining our call, but I believe Leila is going to give us a report out this morning.
Thank you, Commissioner Scar, and good morning, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Excellent. Great. Well, just an update on our city council meetings from last week. A few items to note. The city council voted to continue a moratorium on dune grading for another 6 months, while the city gets prepared to update its comprehensive plan, which includes Goal 18, which oversees dune grading on ocean shores. So look forward to advancing that work. The city council also made appointments to the budget committee, and we look forward to working with our budget committee starting with our first meeting in April. Just as a side note, there was a pre-budget meeting scheduled for the 21st of this month, and that's been canceled, and the agenda will be developed for the meeting in April. I did want to mention that we also have an opening on our planning commission due to a resignation on that commission, so it'll be an appointment to fill a seat for 2 years. The city will be working to appoint its committee and get the process started. So keep your eye on the city's website, and we will be posting the application and forms for that process shortly. I did just want to remind folks that we have a short-term rental survey that's open on the city's website. You can get there by just going straight to our website and clicking on the link. That's open till the 15th, and we're hoping to get really good participation, particularly from folks that live within our community. So if you haven't filled that out and you live in the city of Manzanita or own property, please go to our website. A few other things I just wanted to note. As an outcome of our council meeting, they confirmed a return to in-person meetings. So that will begin in April, and our first meeting will be April 5th. Just as a reminder to folks that it will just be the regular session meetings that will be held in person, and they will be held at the Pine Grove Community House at 6 p.m. We also have quite a few things going on in the city. We have Friday the 17th, we have court and the short-term rental at 1:30, and the short-term rental committee will be meeting at 10 a.m. on Friday. Our mayor's also set up a series of meet and greets at either the Manzanita Library or the Wonder Garden on Mondays at 10:30 a.m. And the first one will be this coming Monday. And we also have city councilors will be developing a series of coffee with counselors. So keep an eye out for that. There'll be invitations going out for folks to register for those meetings. And finally, I just wanted to end on one of my favorite things that this community does every year, which is Citizen of the Year. So we are starting to accept nominations for this, and they can be sent to City Hall at our email address, cityhall@ci.manzanita.or.us, or you can do it old school and drop a note in the mailbox on the front of City Hall on our porch, or drop it by the window. And as another reminder, office hours for open window service at City Hall are Monday through Thursday, 9 to noon. And with that, I'll thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Lana. Appreciate that. And I found my agenda. We're all in good shape. Okay. Appreciate knowing what's going on across the county. Moving on to Rockaway Beach. Do we have our mayor with us this morning? Charles McNeely.
I am here this morning. Thank you very much for this opportunity. Let me start by saying that Rockaway Beach is hiring. We're looking for a city recorder, a plant operator, and staff for our fire department and code enforcement. And of course, you all know I'm a little biased, but I think it's a great time to be part of Rockaway Beach. So if you know someone who fits our needs, please encourage them to check out our employment offerings. And then some updates from our March council meetings, our workshop and our regularly scheduled council meeting. We did appoint an individual to fill our vacancy. I'm excited to announce that Elisa Franken will fill that vacancy, and she will really bring a fresh new voice to our council, and I think she will help us up our game. So looking forward to working with Councilor Franken. The councilor did approve finalizing the purchase of that parcel of land, 10.15 acres from Lewis and Clark. It's zoned facilities and recreation, and we will soon begin community conversations as the city works to develop a master plan that is in the best interests of our beloved community here in Rockaway Beach. The council approved a collective bargaining agreement with employees represented by AFSCME. So glad to see that's in the rearview mirror. We did appoint City Manager Shepherd as our budget officer for fiscal year 2023-2024. And as Manzanita Beach said, our budget meetings kick off in April. And then the last update item is we are updating our rules and procedures for governing council meetings. It's been a while since the council has done that. They've actually held up pretty well over the years, but it is time to take a look at League of City Guidelines and, of course, Robert's Rules of Order and build a good, solid set of formal rules for running our meetings. With that, I'll say thank you for your time and attention and turn it back to you, Commissioner Scott.
Thank you so much. Appreciate the updates. Okay, Garibaldi, do we have Mayor Hall with us this morning?
Yes, good morning. Can you hear me?
Good morning, I can.
Yes, first I'd like to start off by saying we had a very good turnout for the crab races, the Lions Club crab races this past weekend. Hundreds of people showed up and had a whole lot of fun racing crabs. There were folks that were driving down Highway 101 who stopped by just to say that they had enjoyed just watching the event, and a few people actually paid a few dollars to race the crab for good prizes. So I'd like to thank all the people who showed up, and also especially the volunteers who turned up to help make sure that this was a successful event. The only other news that I have that the city of Garibaldi has appointed Terry Kandle, K-A-N-D-L-E, as our new city councilor. He replaced Judy Riggs, who resigned. Terry brings his years of experience as a former councilor of Garibaldi to help the city with a number of the issues that we have, especially related to our emergency preparedness. So we're excited about having Terry on board and having a full council ready to get to work. So that's all that I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate it. Okay, Bay City. Do we have Mayor David McCall this morning?
Yes, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I will keep it real short because you're running a little short on time. It's 9 o'clock. So I'd just like to remind everybody that tonight, 6 o'clock, is our regular city council meeting at City Hall. There's also a dial-in opportunity you can find online. On our website, you can find the agenda with the dial-in information. We will have a public hearing, our second hearing on the tax exemption for workforce housing. We're also doing a proclamation recognizing the great work of the Red Cross. And, we've got some other things on the agenda that we'll be dealing with as well. So I invite everybody tonight, 6 o'clock at City Hall is our city council. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Okay, moving on to Tillamook. City Manager Nathan George. Nathan, are you with us today?
Good morning, Commissioner. Can you hear me?
Oh, there you are. Yes, I can hear you now.
Yes. Thank you. The phone has some muting issues. Thank you so much. Unmuting issues, I should say. Yes. I do have a few things. Thank you very much. Just like Manzanita here, the Tillamook Planning Commission has a vacancy due to resignation. If you're interested in serving on this board, please contact the city's planning department or apply online at our website, which is tillamookor.gov. In the Public Works Department, we have our crews are out reading meters this week. Please be mindful of employees walking about the city reading meters. Public Works will also be working with the Tillamook Beekeepers Association to plant 20 trees on city property this week. The city appreciates their generous donations to the city. This partnership is a win-win as the trees not only help build and sustain our community's bee population, but also help beautify our city. The Public Works will be street sweeping this week. We ask both drivers and walkers to please be mindful of our street sweeper. And also, one large project that I have commissioned the Public Works to do is to clean up all of our extra junk that we have and get everything clean and organized in our Public Works garage and throughout our whole city with in respect to city equipment. So we've recently added several new items to our public surplus, which we use the website publicsurplus.com, including a 1978 International dump truck, a 1970 Kaiser Jeep 6x6 diesel cargo truck, and a 1995 Ford F-150 regular cab, and a 1998 Mercury Mountaineer. Please visit our website at tillamookor.gov to find out more. And also you can call the Public Works Department. If you observe a pothole or any other issue or concern on any streets or parks, please email publicworks@tillamookor.gov or call our main number and follow the prompts of the Public Works Department. And fun fact today, did you know there is more fresh water in the atmosphere than all of the rivers on the planet combined? In the police department has decided to announce we are bringing on a new lateral officer this Thursday with a swearing-in ceremony on Monday, March 20th at the City Council meeting. That will fill all of our positions in the police department. We're very excited about this. Lieutenant Troxel is attending the ODOT Traffic Safety Conference in Grand Ronde, I think is how you pronounce it, Oregon. Sounds like a John Wayne movie. The police department is in the process of finalizing the equipment and training to have electronic tickets installed and operating with our patrol cars. This will save on time and costs as purchasing the uniform traffic citations each year. Also, I understand that the other law enforcement agencies in our county, both the sheriff's office and I believe the Manzanita Police Department, are also working on the same goal. And we're very excited to be able to work together on this with our DA's office. The next City Council meeting will be on Monday, March 20th at 7 p.m. City Hall. There are several important items, such as the second reading of the ordinance to reenact and readopt the City Code on the agenda. The City codified all ordinances from the 1977 City Code through 2013. Since 2013, ordinances were not properly or continually codified, and the City Code was not kept up to date. This has created a tremendous expense of employee time and citizen frustration of trying to know and understand and use the City Code. Both ordinances and resolutions now, which were not included in the past, have now been codified and will be continually kept up to date and transparent to the public and internally to staff. The city has filled all of our open vacancies, as I said, in the police department, the public works department, and the finance department. We only have 2 more positions to go. One is a part-time administrative assistant for City Hall, and the second is a deputy city recorder who will fill the public records management of both paper records and electronic records, city council meetings and minutes duties, as well as serve as an assistant to the city manager by being responsible for various programs and projects. So just to explain, so we instead of having a city recorder, we'll have a deputy city recorder, as the city recorder is now me. And that the city manager is a city recorder because that's how our charter, because both those positions report to the city council. So following the method of many other cities in our county and throughout the state of Oregon, city manager is a city recorder. I don't get any additional duties. I don't get any additional pay or anything. It's just simply, it's a name only. So I do the final signatures, but then the deputy city recorder will fill the normal recorder position duties as well as work on several projects and programs with the city manager. So if you have any interest in this position, please call our Human Resources Department and stop by City Hall or go online to find an application. That's all I have, Commissioner. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nathan. Appreciate the updates. Okay, South County. Doug Olson, are you with us this morning? I do not see Doug. Okay, I think that finishes up our meeting today. I appreciate everyone's indulgence as it is 9:07 this morning. So we will, we'd like to thank KTIL for broadcasting. We want to thank all of you for joining us, and we are going to adjourn this meeting at 9:07 a.m. Everyone have a great day.